the main difference between emails that get opened and emails that get thrown in the trash can are emails that have really good subject lines, which is why in today's video, I'm going to be showing you 6 different subject lines that you can plug and play in your cold email campaigns, and also show you how you can write your own subject line if you want something that's completely unique for your own strategy. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. All right, so the 6 best subject line templates that you can use inside of your cold email campaigns, you can plug them in, start using these today. And I'm also going to talk about how you can write your own subject lines so you don't have to copy me directly and you can have completely unique ones for your own campaign strategy. So first, we're going to talk about why you should listen to me. My name is Matt Lucero. I'm the founder over at Nivo Marketing, which is a B2B lead generation agency that primarily uses cold email to generate leads. I know a thing or two about sending cold emails because I've sent at the time of the recording this video probably closer to 2 million. This is just 1.5 million in the screenshot, and that's what's tracked inside of some of my dashboards. So probably over 2 million at this point. Booked over 1,000 sales calls, send a couple 100,000 emails a month, serve 25 clients. I'm a Smartlead partner, and basically know a couple things about cold email. So there's my credentials if you want to take those for what they are. But first, we're going to talk about what is the purpose of the subject line. And I'm going to start this off with a quote from Joseph Sugarman. He is one of the most famous direct response copywriters. I read this book, The Adweek Copywriting Handbook. Recommend anyone who's doing really any form of marketing to read this, just to learn about copywriting. But he said something in here along the lines of the first sentence has one purpose: to get you to read the next one. And so he's talking about this in the context of direct response, which also applies directly to cold email. Cold email is a form of direct response marketing. But his point here is that the first sentence has one purpose: it's to get you to read the next one. And if you read the continuation in his books, he talks about the second sentence's job is to make sure that you read the third one, and the third one is to read the fourth one. So this principle holds true with cold email. The goal of good copy is not to get them to take the desired action right from reading the first line. It's to get them to take the next logical action. So the goal is to get, for the first line, to get you to read the second line. The second line is supposed to get you to read the third line, and so on and so forth. And so in the case of cold email, your subject line's job is to get them to open the email. So first thing when they see the subject line, it's not to sell them on your product or service. It's not to get them on the phone call. It's just to get them to open, because that's the next logical step. And then your first line is to get them to read the second, the third. Your call to action is supposed to get them intrigued. The intrigueness is supposed to get them on the call, and the call you can sell them the service, right? There's probably a lot of micro steps, but you get the point, right? The subject line should not sell your service. You cannot convince a person to buy your product or service, your $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $100,000 product, just with the subject line alone. And if you could, I would love to know exactly how, because I would probably be over on an island retired at this point. So the goal of a subject line is just to sell the open. After they open, then you intrigue them, pitch them on the next step, and move them one layer at a time. You're not trying to get them from the first step to the 50th step. You're trying to get them to the second, and the second to third, and basically just go step by step down to the next thing. So now that we've established in the context of a subject line, the goal is not to sell them on your service. It's to sell them on the open and get them to open. So next question you're probably asking is, how do we do that? So the question we're going to address here is how to get someone to open an email. And if you're watching this video, you probably received direct response mail, like just physical piece of mail in the past. And I'm going to use this because this is a really great example. So, you've probably received credit card offers, people to, do home services, cut your trees, paint your house, coupons, etc. You've probably gotten all this type of mail or junk mail or whatever you want to call it in your mail before. So speaking from personal experience, if I get a letter and it says 20,000 free bonus points or you're pre-approved, I instantly throw that in the trash. If I got a piece of mail and it said you're pre-approved for, XYZ, I throw it in the trash. Why? Because without even opening it, I'm already being pitched. I already know what the mail is about. I already know it's something that I don't want to read, because it says straight up front, hey, 20,000 free bonus points, you're pre-approved, whatever. Like it's effectively the subject line of the mail is a pitch, right? Without opening it, I already know I'm being pitched, and I throw it in the trash. Now, on the other hand, if I got a letter and it just said my first and last name, it said Matt Lucero, no other details, it had my address on it, I'm going to open it every single time. Now, the question you might be asking is, well, why do you open it? And you probably feel the same way. I hope you already know the answer here. But the answer is because I have no idea what's inside. If I get a letter, it says my first name, my last name, there's no way I can throw it in the trash, because the first thing I'm thinking is like, what if this is important? What if a friend sent this to me, or a family member, or any number of people? If it says 20,000 free bonus points, I know that my cousin did not send me that piece of mail. I know it's from American Express or Capital One or whatever the company is. But if it's vague, or if it, it doesn't show what it is, I'm assuming, worst case scenario, it's someone that is close to me and someone sent it, so I can't throw it away. I'm going to be opening it every single time. So the contents could be the exact same in the first letter and the second letter, but I'm going to be opening the second letter and not going to be opening the first letter, simply because I have no idea what's inside there. The same should apply to your subject lines and in your emails. If your subject line says paid ads for e-commerce, I very likely know I'm going to be pitched, and that I could probably just throw away the email because I already know they're just pitching me on some service. I'm already tapped out, right? Unless you really, really are in the market for paid ads or e-commerce, you're not probably going to open it, and people already know what this is about. So all this to say, the best subject lines, in my opinion, with my experience, are number one, that they're short. They have 1 to 4 words. Number two, they look like something that an employee, a coworker, a customer could send. Number three, it's vague. And number four, it's intriguing. So like going back to our example with direct mail, it follows all these things. Sure, it actually doesn't say anything, right? It looks like something an employee or coworker or customer could send to me. So in the case of direct mail, if it says nothing on it, that's how most people send mail to other people. They don't say 10,000, or it's like, hey, happy birthday. They don't even say that on the card itself. They put it inside the card. In a similar way, if you are sending an email to a coworker, you're probably not going to say paid ads for e-commerce. You're probably going to say, question about the e-commerce campaign or something like that, right? The other thing is vague. If it says very directly paid ads for e-commerce, it's a direct pitch or solicitation, and so you don't want to pitch your offer directly in the email. And fourth, it's intriguing, right? You're curious. If I got a blank piece of mail and it said nothing else but my name, I'm curious. I'm like, what is inside? It doesn't show me, it doesn't tell me. I want to figure out what's inside, so I'm going to open it. Same applies to subject lines. So now we're going to talk about some examples of subject lines and why they work and why they fit this. So first one I'm going to show you is probably the OG subject line, the subject line that even if you're not in cold email, you've probably got an email like this, and it's quick question. This has been around for a long time, and this is the OG subject line, which I honestly don't recommend people use it anymore because of, like I said before, it's now in effect the same way of saying 20,000 bonus points has been sent out so many times. It still can work, right? But I just want to include this as an example of a perfect example of a subject line. And why does it work? It's because it fits all these things, right? If you scroll down here and you look, it's short. It looks like something a coworker could send, your boss or one of your employees could say, hey, quick question. And then they ask a quick question, right? It's vague. It doesn't tell you what's inside. So now you're curious and it's intriguing. Like the first question you're thinking when you see quick question is, what is the question? Like, what is this question this person has for me? Is this important or not? And it works extraordinarily well for this reason. It's short, it sounds human, makes you ask yourself, what is the quick question? Now, do I recommend this as like the be all end all subject line? It has been recommended, or it's been used and recommended by so many people at this point that I think it almost helps, or it almost hurts in the wrong way because of how overused it is. But I include it here just to show you one example, or like why this is the best subject line, or the OG one for the past, few years, is just because it follows all these things to the T. It's short, it sounds human, makes you ask yourself, what is this question? It intrigues you and hooks you in. So that's the first example. Now we're going to go on to the 5 other examples of subject lines that you can use in your campaigns. So the next example I'm going to use is first name dash thoughts question mark. So it could look like John dash thoughts, right? Why does the subject line work? Exact same reason why the other ones work. It's short. It looks like something an employee or coworker could send. It's vague and or intriguing, right? If you don't say it directly what's going on, they're going to open it up. They're going to say thoughts on what? Like what are you asking me for my thoughts on, right? So again, it elicits that response of what is going on in this email in a very powerful subject line that I've used in the past and seen good results with. Another example, first name, comma, question. Same idea. You're using their first name. And I also like using first name and variables and this type of stuff in the subject line because it helps personalize it. It goes a little bit above and beyond, and it could also help with the deliverability so your subject lines look a little bit different. And also, again, gets the intriguing, gets the human element, and gets people thinking, what is the question? What's going on in this email? And I need to open it. All right, so the next one we're going to go on to is idea for first name. And so like all the other ones, it gets to the heart of sounding human, sounding straightforward. And I'm going through these pretty quick because you can just read them and, use them for yourself. But idea for first name, it gets the same things across. What's going on in this email? Did a coworker send this to me? And it doesn't sell the thing directly in the email. The email could be about whatever. So idea for John, this is something you could use in your campaigns. And you can also mix and match. Like these, you don't necessarily need to copy and paste these word for word. You just take the overall idea from this, which is, hey, how can I write a subject line that sounds like something that's unique? And, if you can probably use these subject lines, paste them directly into your campaigns and see results. You also have to keep in mind that if you look below this video and you see that there's 1,000, 5,000, 200, whatever the number of views is on this video, other people are going to be using this as well. So keep that in mind. But the ideas still hold true. You want to make it short. You want to make it intriguing. And hopefully this gets some ideas running for you too. Next one we're going to cover, pain point question mark. So invalid lists, emails and spam question mark, high CPA. So these get a little bit closer to the offer. You can maybe deduce that this potentially has something to do with like a pitch, but it ties in a little bit more with the pain point. If you want to be a little bit more direct, this is still good because it has some vagueness, can be something that a coworker or someone else would send, and also can tie into your offer and makes it sound a little bit more unique. And you can tie it in directly with whatever you're selling. So your emails and spam, this still, someone could probably interpret this as something that's a little bit more of a salesy email, but also at the same time, it hits on that point where it is just a little bit vague that someone would want to open the email. Maybe it's emails and spam, like their emails are landing in spam, but you can tie it in with the pain point around your offer. And then the last thing we're going to cover here is just one word about your offer. Content, ads, leads. You could just send a super simple subject line and it just talks about, if you sell ads, you could put ads. If you put leads, not, hey, do you want to run paid ads? Because if you ask that question in a subject line, it's very clear that you're selling something. So all these examples, they kind of hit back at these same points I have here before. Make sure your subject line is short. Make sure it looks like something that a coworker could send. Make sure it's vague and intriguing, which kind of tie in together, that it's something that someone asked the question, what is going on in this email? I need to open it. And I promise you, if you get the person to open your email, then you're achieving exactly what you want to achieve with your subject line. The whole point is just to get them to open it. And if you get that done, you will see better results with your campaigns, and you'll also be doing the proper thing with your subject lines. All right, so that wraps up this video talking about subject lines. If you want to write your own killer subject lines, use these in your email campaigns and start using these to book sales calls, generate demand for your product or service, you should check out Smartlead. It's in one of the links in the description below. There's a 14-day free trial. It's what I use inside my agency and what we use to get killer results for us and our clients. If you want to see any other videos, drop some video ideas down in the comments and take a look at the other videos on this channel. Appreciate you guys and see you in the next video.